Hey, everybody. As recruiters, we all know that hiring can be one of the most challenging parts of running a business. Whether you're a startup looking to build a dream team or a well established company aiming to streamline your recruitment process, the right tools can make all the difference. Team Tailor is a powerful all in one recruitment software your candidates and team will love. Team Tailor isn't just a piece of software, it's a way of working. With Team Tailor, you get everything you need in one place: powerful analytics, an AI assistant, customizable workflows, and more. Plus, Team Tailor is super easy to use and implement. You can onboard hiring managers with minimal training and get started right away, thanks to an easy implementation and intuitive, user friendly interface. 94% of teams report better collaboration, and 89% of companies say their hiring process is faster. If you're focused on the candidate experience, it's at the heart of the ATS. Just ask any of the 4 million candidates who connect with customers every month. Join the ranks of over 150,000 recruiters and more than 8,500 companies like Oatly, Porsche, and OneFlow who have transformed their recruitment with Team Tailor. Discover the new way to attract and hire top talent and see the results for yourself. Hey, what's up, everybody? You're tuned into the Rebel TA podcast. I'm here with Brian Fink, who you may know from the internet. He is a senior talent leader over at McAfee. Brian, what's up, man?
Party people, I'm excited to be here, Brandon. I'm excited for us to have a great conversation. For those of you who didn't hear the pregame, Brandon is going to Disney World. I'm super excited for him. So we were talking about that. We were talking about RecFest. Everything's on the table. Let's talk talent. What's going on with you today?
Heck yeah, man. Just been sprinting through a few recs. I'm a recruiter. I'm doing the deal. Love the work. I know you do as well. Tell me a little bit about your passion for recruiting. Like, where does that come from? Why'd you choose this way of life?
So why I choose this way of life and where does the passion come from are kind of the same intersection, right? Is that I was taught at an early age that if you don't have a solution to a problem, don't speak up about the problem. Okay. I attribute that to my mother, who always said, if you think you can do it better, find a way to do it better, which is a little bit of a different lesson than if you think that there's a problem, figure out a way to solve it, right? But my parents encouraged that kind of learning and development in me. So when I was a young, not sure I wanted to be a recruiter, but I thought I wanted to be a pharmaceutical sales representative. I just dropped out of law school, shout out to law school. I was bartending, and one of my patrons was a pharmaceutical sales recruiter. Her name is Tandy Good, and she started me on this journey. She was recruiting for Pfizer. She's now at Google. Long story short, she said, "Hey, Brian, you've got graduate degrees, you got undergrad degrees. You don't want to be a lawyer. Why don't you come try sales?" And so I started down the trek of interviewing with all these pharma companies, and the candidate experience sucked. Okay. And I was going through one agency that was responsible for putting together kind of like fleet sales of new drug launches. And I had a really bad candidate experience. And I went to the founder of the company. Guy's name is Jeff Audette. Jeff, shout out to you if you're listening. Good friend of mine. I went to Jeff and I was like, "Hey, I heard you might be hiring." And he was like, "Yeah, but I'm really looking for somebody with experience." And I was like, "Well, how about somebody with a bad experience?" And I kind of spun it around and said,
Love
"Look,
that.
if you'll take me on, you'll show me the ropes. I'm confident that I can turn your worst performing territory into your best performing territory in 90 days." And he was like, "Do you have a plan?" And I was like, "I can build a plan." So I built a plan, and I came to Jeff, and Jeff hired me. He tells me to this day, "You were a pity hire." So Jeff, I really do hope you're listening because we had a lot of fun. I took one of Jeff's worst performing territories, the one that included Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, New Orleans, Houston, and Dallas, those markets. I overtook them. I rebuilt them. I built relationships with major pharmaceutical companies so that we could do staffing for them. And it all started from my mom saying, "If you think that you can do it better and there's a problem, speak up and solve it." And Jeff Audette gave me the opportunity to do that.
Hell yeah. I love the gratitude and the appreciation. And also, is your mom Vanilla Ice? If you got a problem, yo, I'll solve it.
No, my mother is not Vanilla Ice. She's Mama Vanilla. No, I'm kidding. My mom is Lorraine Fink, and she's awesome. Like she's the person who encouraged me from a very young age. Like my dad was very much like go and study and work hard, and my father has this incredible work ethic. But my mother told me, she was like, if you're smart, you can go anywhere in the world, right? So like between her and my father, because my dad has this like, serial entrepreneur, uh, just will not stop. If you think I'm high energy, Brandon, you got to meet my dad, okay? Because the guy drinks tea, he doesn't drink coffee, he is not a coffee guy, and he is full on all the time. Got to go, right? And so I get my energy and tenacity from that, and then I get my mother's ability to punch above my weight class. So that's kind of where I'm at in that intersection.
That's awesome. One of the things that is very noticeable about you, Brian, which I very much appreciate, is that energy. I don't think you need to be an extrovert to be in recruiting or to be in sales, but it sure as hell doesn't hurt. Um, One of the things that I've noticed is like I've been a high energy person my whole life. And a lot of the times people get coached that executive presence can't be this like joyful, high energy, fast speech. I beg to differ. And I think you might too.
So I do disagree with that. I like to like when I look at people that I put on a pedestal and I think about their high energy and the tenacious attitude they have. Like I think of people in our space like Adam Posner, right? Like Adam's got that great energy, that great aura. Somebody who was a guest of Adam's, who I am a big fan of, is Will Giarda, right? Who wrote about hospitality, in Unreasonable Hospitality, and this energy that it took, this drive, this determination to win Michelin star after Michelin star, to start that, to have that bent, right? And he was an entrepreneur, and then he became an entrepreneur. And I think that that level of energy, that level of tenacity has to be present for you to be able to do great work both internally and externally, whether you're an internal recruiter or an external recruiter. So I agree with you. Now, about that executive presence, we live in a society where we're talking about authenticity and we're telling people to be inauthentic. I think that that resonates against brand standards that people are trying to exhibit, right? And I say against is that why would you pretend to be something that you're not, right? Like that is a bad employer brand. That is a bad experience. That is ultimately what brought me to recruiting, right?
100%. There are so many ways to make a living. Like I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I don't want to be anything but me or express that. And I think that's what we need to celebrate. I know you do a lot of work in the inclusion space, sharing stages, amplifying underrepresented voices. What are you focused on right now for how we can foster that energy, creativity, authenticity, and the uniqueness that makes this world so wonderful?
So I feel like I'm going through the history books of people who shaped and braked and broke and made Brian, right? But one of those people is a young lady named Joellen Unger, and Joellen inspires me for two reasons. One, um, Joellen always told me to speak up and speak out when I saw injustice in the world. I think that's a mission that's near and dear to my heart. That is something that I was indoctrinated with when I was like 14 years old, going to youth camps, right? Youth camp, not a penitentiary, but like a religious camp and what have you, right? I know there are people who are like, "Hey, probably grew up in a penitentiary," but so there's that, and then number two is that Joellen is very much about giving back in a selfless way, right? Um, I involve myself with organizations like WIT, like Women in Technology, because I want to make sure. So, like, I've got a daughter, and when I had my daughter, before I had my daughter, there were arguments that I got into, and I didn't have a dog in the fight other than I thought that it was the right thing to do. And we can talk a little bit about that because uh, there was one instance where I was working for one organization and we were going to pay a far superior mobile developer who had won like numerous awards in their collegiate career. We were going to pay them less than their male counterpart. And like, I went to the mattress on that. I was like, I will quit, like, whatever. Jen Laub coached me through that. She's like, never pull out the card that you're going to quit. Shout out to Jen. Jen, happy birthday. Today's your birthday. We're taping this on your birthday. Happy birthday, Jen.
HBD queen.
Yes, the queen, right? And she's at Ford. She's a tremendous powerhouse. She's with Melissa Thompson over there, and they're doing great things in the inclusion space too. But back to that, right? So like involvement in WIT, involvement in women in technology, involvement in blacks in technology, involvement in Autism Speaks, and trying to make doorways or help people make doorways where the door doesn't exist or the door's been slammed in their face, right? I pass as a white straight male. I happen to be a white straight male, but I say pass because I grew up in rural South Georgia. I was the only Jewish kid in my school. Sometimes that meant segregation. Sometimes it meant alienation. Sometimes it meant that they thought that I should be fighting the only other, the Arab kid in school, Willie Hakeem of blessed memory. There are a lot of different elements. There's a confluence of ideas. So like when I speak about it, it comes from a personal space. It comes from an upbringing. It comes from the people who educated me. And it comes from the fact that there's got to be diversity in the world. There doesn't have to be tension. We can operate from an abundance mindset. And Brandon, I appreciate you letting me riff on that for like 30 seconds here, right? Like this is, I'm fortunate enough, I'm blessed, right, to take the stage with Rocky Howard at RecFest in 2 weeks. And we are going to have an intimate conversation about power and privilege and prestige and how that power and privilege can lead to the prestige of other individuals, right? We are going to talk about pay equity for Black women specifically. That is really something that's important to me. If you see my updates on LinkedIn, I make a big stink about that. I make good trouble, right? As John Lewis would say, because when you see that something isn't right, I think that we've been taught to put our heads in the sand instead of stand up for others. And if we don't stand up for others, we're not going to be able to stand up for ourselves. It's just that simple.
Man, I love all of that. I like the idea of the doors. I think about it as like on-ramps on a highway. Like how can we create more on-ramps for people to a path of financial security? Because the best paying jobs are often in tech. Tech is underrepresented by many demographics. How can we continue to develop a hiring strategy that is a community approach? And at the end of the day, so much of that can be done with such a small budget. We spend so much money on software. The sales and marketing team gets all these bells and whistles. Eng team has dev tools. Like I'm asking for 10 G's to invest in partnerships so that we can fill pipelines with a robust demographic group of individuals.
Well, you talk about the robust demographic of individuals, and you're right. It doesn't take a lot to do that. One of my favorite free resources, and free is my favorite four-letter word, is Justice Map, right? Where you can go onto Justice Map and you can see from census data where you could be recruiting in different markets for those diverse populations, right? It's not a heavy lift. It's free, right? You're bringing the data. And as we go through this transformation that's happening in talent acquisition, like I think the next 3 years are going to be really volatile. I think that Mike Wolford, if you had a conversation with him or Stanulus, that they might feel the same way, is that there's this attrition that's taking place in recruiting. And as that attrition is taking place, recruiting has an opportunity to rise up and to truly be that talent advisor that we've been hitting at or hinting at or trying to drive into for the past 4 to 5 years about how we use data and how we make that data actionable. So I agree with you. And as dev tools deprecate and they get new ones and they change their flavor of Kubernetes every so often, they should share a little bit of that budget with us and TA. They definitely should.
100%. I'm excited about RecFest. I know you mentioned that going to be on stage with Rocky. For folks that are listening that may not be familiar, like what is RecFest? How does it compare to other stuff that you've been doing? Because you've been around. You're an OG.
Okay, so first off, I'm not an OG. Steve Levy is an OG.
100%.
Dean DaCosta is an OG. Stacy Zapper is an OG. Glenn Cathy is an OG. And the grand OG of them all is Jerry Crispin, all right? So real quick, what is RecFest? RecFest is a celebration of all things talent acquisition. It is employer branding. It is the future. It is looking back at the past and saying, how far have we come and where are we going? It is not a SHRM conference. I'm not belittling SHRM. I know there's been a lot of contention about SHRM, but this is 2,000 people gathering in a field to have intimate one-on-one, two-on-one, three-on-one, three-on-two conversations about talent acquisition. This is an environment that is safe by the very nature that it is outdoors. It is open. You see what is occurring, whether you are going to one tent or you are going to another. Jamie Leonard has brought together new voices that need to be heard and need to be challenged, and he has brought together old voices that need to be heard and need to be challenged. When you have that type of diversity of thought, it's just as powerful as the diversity of thought that you would have in an organization if you were fostering diversity and inclusion, right? You are going to have, everybody is going to be there, okay? I mentioned Mike Wolford. Mike Wolford, who you need to have on the show, great individual in terms of mentorship, in terms of capacity. He's going to be leading a conversation around what does the future look like for TA. Conversations that Steve Levy is going to lead is what's the future look like for sourcing, right? Going to this conference is going to be like steroids. It is going to make you the Arnold of recruiting. It is going to put you so much further ahead of the pack than other events, right? I don't want to cast aspersions, but a lot of events that I go to, they're performative in nature, okay? This is not performative, right? I mean, you have people like Donald Knight, shout out to Donald, DK in the house, you have people like Donald Knight who are going to be leading conversations about what that transformation looks like from different organizations. You are going to have conversations with the likes of the gurus of employer branding, like Audra Knight. You're going to have conversations with Joe Weech about inclusion in the workplace. There are a lot of different topics that are going to be swirling around. I would articulate that there is something for everybody. And if there isn't, come find me and we'll make something happen for you. I don't think Jamie would be opposed to that.
Heck yeah. I'm excited about it because Jamie invited me out last year, and that was like my first like on stage at a conference speaking to my peers. And I was very warmly welcomed. I think you mentioned like the fact that it's outside and accessible. Like you're just walking in a field and all of a sudden it's like the people from your LinkedIn feed. For somebody newish to the scene, I've been recruiting for, this is year 9, year 10. The majority of my experience, like it was the pandemic. I was heads down. We didn't have time for networking. We didn't have the conferences. So now folks in my kind of generation are coming out of the woodwork a little bit, being welcomed into the scene. And I think that goes back to that inclusivity piece. So like, hey, thank you for letting me show up. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Thanks for coming out to the talk and saying hi, because somebody told me earlier in my career, you should spend a 30-year time with folks 15 years ahead of you, 30-year time with your peers, and a 30-year time giving back to the generation behind. And that's how I think about spending my time as a professional dot connector. And I think RecFest is such a great venue and atmosphere for that, because it's super inclusive by the fact that it's not in Vegas. So it's relatively
it's
less
really
expensive.
Yeah. And
And it's also, you're not in Vegas. Like you're not chiefing cigarette smoke all day.
So like, I don't get that. Like, I don't get why HR goes to Vegas. Like, I can't think of like a trap, right? Like this is the Imperial fleet luring Admiral Akbar. For those of you who don't watch Star Wars.
Oh my God, you're such a nerd.
Yeah, I know. Ryan Leary, this is for you. Happy birthday, Jawa. It's a trap. I think it's a trap. I mean, like, yeah, that's just it. That's where I'm going to stop with that.
I was joking with like Anessa Fike. I was like, yo, we need to do an HR conference in Boulder, Colorado with the yoga, the green juice, the detox, all of that. Like to me, that's my happy place. If I'm taking a few days off desk, I want to be chilled out. I don't want to be like in the middle of a party. That said, I'm willing to go in the belly of the beast. And I think we're going to have some fun in Nashville. I'm going to turn up.
We're going to have some fun in that. You mentioned Anessa, right? Anessa, who is like, and you talk about the mantra of spend time with people that are your peers, spend time with people older than you, spend time giving back. Anessa is that person, right? Like, shout out to Anessa. I can't wait to see you in a few weeks. I need to text you. I'll do this right after I finish up with the conversation. I've been texting with JCK all morning, so it's all good. And I promise I'm recruiting at the same time. I've already
I know,
had,
right?
yeah, I mean, I've got recs. Like I'm working on everything from a CISO down the line to a strategic security investigator.
I love it. So, what are you working on? Um, what business group are you supporting? Maybe give the audience just a TLDR on your background, because if you scroll through your LinkedIn, it's like, dang, this dude is baller. But what do you like to do?
Okay, so what do I really like to do is about 8 years ago, I had the opportunity to get into machine learning and AI before it became a thing. And that really has it's benefited me because I was having conversations with people who, they were selling their companies to the likes of Twitter or Microsoft, right? Jeff Ma is the person that jumps out at me. And I'm having conversations with the people who really laid the foundation for the generative AI and LLMs and Hugging Face and transformers that we're using today, right? Um, it's matriculated in such a way that I spend about a third of my time working on machine learning, AI, signal processing, computer vision roles. We've got some really unique products that are coming to the field at McAfee I work at McAfee Security. I don't know if I said that. And so I'm working on those roles and I support our CTO and CIO. I'm also starting to support our CDO as more of our analytics start to play a bigger role in what we're doing. Those three core areas give me the opportunity to work on infrastructure, whether it's virtual or transformative in hybrid environments. It gives me the opportunity to have conversations. It's never a dull day, right? Like I have conversations with cloud devs, I have conversations with SREs, and then I jump to having conversations with security experts and security researchers that are figuring out patches before Microsoft knows something is wrong. It's a really inventive time to be part of our organization. We just launched our deep fake detector in partnership with Lenovo. We're doing some really cool things, and we're hiring some really intelligent people to drive transformational change in the tech space. Right? It's a little bit different. It's one of the smaller organizations that I've worked at.
Yeah.
McAfee has less than 2,000 people worldwide. Coming from the likes of Twitter, where we were like four times that, or AWS, where we would just fit in a file cabinet. Um, yeah, it's definitely a unique organization. We're going, like I said, through a lot of transformation, and we're looking for transformational individuals to serve as the pillar for the next generation of security services that are going to keep you safe at scale across the internet. I got pitchy, didn't I? I got
No,
pitchy.
no, I love that. That was definitely your candidate pitch, but I like it. Um, were you at Black Hat, or did the team go out to Black Hat?
No, so we didn't go out to Black Hat. One of the reasons I didn't go out to Black Hat is we got a lot of work to knock out right now, and consequently at Black Hat, there I'd say 80% of the participants in Black Hat are working on security services that are GovCon or
Mm,
FedRAMP and enterprise. McAfee focuses purely on the individual, right?
sure.
Like we want to keep families safe on the web wherever they go, keep their identities safe, things of that nature, right? So Black Hat, where it makes sense for us to show up in a small cadre, we're there. Like I like going to B sides because I get to talk to people who know the things that are up and coming. And those B side events, for anybody who's listening, and you want to recruit in cybersecurity, there are B side events all over the country, right? Like there's a great one in Tampa. I'm here in Atlanta. There's a good one in Atlanta. There are a lot of great opportunities along the East Coast that I travel through. The only other B sides I've been to is I've been to B sides Las Vegas, um, and actually I think that goes back to what you said about networking as a recruiter, right? Is that we have been in a bubble for a really long time. I formed a lot of friendships online, and it wasn't until I went to these events that I was actually able to like last week. Do you know Vanessa Rath, Brandon?
No.
Okay, she's a recruiter in South Africa. Um, Vanessa and
Yes,
I've
I
been
know her. You were in Bogota.
Yeah, we were in Bogota. Vanessa and I have been friends for the better part of 7 years. We talk and text religiously. We had never met until last week for the first time. And it's so nice to like embrace somebody in person and be like, and she's like, you want to go get a club soda? And I'm like, yeah, I'll get a club. Well, wait, she said, you want to get a club soda? Because I know you don't drink. And I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. You'll get a beer, I'll get a club soda, red wine, whatever, it'll be fine. So that's it.
I love it. I've actually, maybe somebody else coined this, but I've been coining it probably in parallel. Um, the intentional networking percentage, your INP, is the number of quality conversations you make per week. And anybody can do this. This is just like a biz dev or networking growth hack. LinkedIn allows you 150 connection requests per week. If you are having 1 to 2 quality conversations out of that 150, those are relationships that you can actually forge, and you can walk away with a 1% INP. But more than that, more than the growth hack, more than the number of followers that accumulate if you do this daily and weekly for 2 years, more than the micro influencer status, you get people, you get relationships. At the end of the day, that's why I'm in recruiting. And it's so fun to just send a message, and the next thing you know, I've got new friends. It's hard to make friends in your 30s. And oftentimes when you work in a small company, like I've been in startups where I'm a department of one and I'm an HR guy. So like I'm not always friends with people at work. Like I want to be friends with people who share my interests and we evolve as people. Sometimes you're just friends with dudes because you grew up with them. It's not always easy, but I think these tools that we're in every day, if we just apply a little bit better perspective and intentionality behind it, we can get more of that optimism in our lives, and the returns are tenfold. Because I'm going to be out at RecFest, you're going to be out there, we're going to see people that we know from the internet, and the next thing you know, you're in a text thread, you're sharing
Oh,
memes.
oh, dude. I mean, like that's Amy Miller all day long, right? Like I can't tell you whether it was like Lori Rodeman or Vadim meeting them for the first time. Like you're absolutely right. And like some of my best friends are people who are in the space that I talk with every day on the text thread. I think like the only two people I haven't mentioned that I'm on text threads with are like Aaron Matthews and Michael Goldberg, who we share dad jokes and memes like incessantly all day. Um, little insight to that, but I want to call out something is that there's networking for the sake of networking, and then there's being intentional about it. And I think that you made a strong distinction about that, right? Like there's a great book that's by Christopher Tuff that is called Save Your Ask. Okay, I want to make sure I enunciate the K because if not, it's going to be like a red flag. So save your ask. And he says, don't be an ask hole. And make sure that when you're approaching people, that you come to them with something that you're offering, not a sales pitch, not something of that nature, but that you're trying to solve a problem for them, right? Or that you're trying to find out what keeps them awake at night so you can be that remedy, especially if you're doing it in a cold capacity. And yeah, I think that's a big takeaway. I think that it complements and bookends exactly what you're saying while squeezing out the friction that would keep us from having a great conversation.
100%. Another tactical takeaway, especially for anybody who might be listening, going to a networking event, going out to HR tech, is I like to frame a lot of networking with like a give ask model. Here's what I can give to you, Brian. Here's what I'm asking in return. Who are 3 people you think I need to talk to? That type of thing. Um, and coming to the table with generosity versus like a pitch slap, you might get this one all the time actually, is like the founder that's trying to build a product that emails you and like wants your basic like product strategy.
I want to pick your brain. Here's my Calendly link. Like, yeah, I need to build a filter inside. There needs to be a filter inside of LinkedIn that blocks out Calendly links because I feel like that's so disingenuous. Like even as a recruiter, when I reach out to a candidate and say if you're interested, let me know.
Yeah,
I don't send them a Calendly link. Like I think that's just kind of cringe.
it is. And I think what's really interesting is there's no one size fits all to hiring. So to take it tactically, like I work recs, I'm a sourcer, I'm filling roles that I find the folks to place, soup to nuts. Like it's me against me. There are a lot of recruiters out there that don't have that pressure. They don't have that sales mentality. There are a lot of great recruiters better than I that can source better than I. But there's no one right way to do things. What I've found for me is that I need to stay curious and I need to test like what tools am I using? Am I A/B testing different tools against each other? What are the searches that are returning certain profiles and why? What are the browsers I'm using? But even down to messaging.
Dude. All right. So like you bring up the browser thing. Shout out to Ronnie Bratcher. Ronnie Bratcher showed me like 5 years ago, if you put one search string in one browser and you use one search engine, you will get totally different results if you use a different search engine in a different browser with or without a VPN, right? Like it is,
It's crazy.
yeah. And you know, what's really crazy is that people stop with good enough, Brandon,
Yeah.
right? Like you talk about being an army of one, you have to compete against yourself. Been there, done that, understand that. And as far as I'm concerned, the only person I compete with on a daily basis is me. Did I make more calls than I did the day before? Did I have more submits this week? Did I have a better hire ratio, a better submit to interview ratio? What's my close ratio? What does that look like? Like that's the game I'm playing with myself.
Yup. 100%. A couple years back, I feel like email was doing really well, but now like DM is performing really well for me. And I also want to preface, like I typically don't hire at scale. I'm working with early stage startups, pre-seed, bootstrapped companies. Like I've never worked at a company that didn't have more than 500 people in a corporate office. But like a lot of the times we're like 2-digit employee count companies. So I get away with a lot of stuff. DMs are so
Dude,
productive for me.
I tell
It's
this to
crazy.
people all the time. My number one source of hire is Instagram. My number two source of no, because what I do is that there's all this noise on LinkedIn. So if you find the person on LinkedIn, great. Go find them on Instagram. You can send 20 DMs on Instagram a day to people you're not connected with. Don't use any kind of
Yeah.
automation software. If you're going to use anything, use free tool alert, free tool. Use Get Magical so that you can save your templates as you go from DM to DM. It's getgetmagical.com.
Write it down. I'll throw it in the show notes.
It's a text expander, and so like you can use it across LinkedIn, you can use it across DMs, you can use it across TikTok. Just go.
You know what just opened up is Strava opened up a messaging feature. It's like I've worked in the fitness industry. Obviously, you want to be inclusive and like all that, of course, but like anytime there's a new platform and especially something that's social oriented, it's like, oh, let's have fun with this.
Well, dude, that's like calling people from the Peloton.
Yeah, dog. Who do
Okay,
you
so
ride
like,
with?
so Tunde is my spirit, right? Like, so that's who I ride with. You know, like, yeah, like Tunde, and I'm not into Ally Love. Like, I don't get that. Like, that's cool and whatever. Um, everybody, like all my people are like, Brian, Ally Love is the best, and I'm like, I really don't think so. Like, whatever. Um, so like I like Tunde. I'm trying to think of the young lady who is from. So I'm into show tunes, right? Like, of
I can
course
see
Brian
that.
is, right? Is that I'm trying to think of the young lady who's from the UK, who she does the musical like rides, and last year she did Wicked. And the thing is as she's writing, like all the music is playing from the show, and she's like telling you like what's going on. So like she's done West Side Story, she's done Wicked, she, man, like yeah. So yeah, okay, great. You know, once you're jet, you're jet. Um, uh, you know, so I like those rides. The only time that I really liked Ally was like when Ally Love did the this is what this podcast is going to be titled. It's going to be titled Brian Fink and Ally Love, right? Is that when Ally Love did the Lady Gaga ride, because I'm a huge Gaga fan, If Gaga's so on one side of the musical spectrum, I'm all about Lady Gaga. On the other side of the musical spectrum, I am all about Jimmy Buffett. So, yeah, go. If you can't go see Jimmy Buffett anymore, but if you got a chance to go see Lady Gaga, you need to take that chance.
Oh
You need
yeah,
to go.
I'm taking my wife to Vegas for Lady Gaga at some point. You mentioned you're Peloton guy, show tune guy. I take it you're a TV guy too. Did you?
No,
No? Okay. Have you seen when Billy Crudup sings the duet with Jennifer Aniston on the morning show? They sing a song from Sweeney Todd.
no. So my wife, that would be my wife's purview. Like, shout out to the wife. Hey, Allie, not to be confused with Allie Love. Is that my wife watches TV? I don't. Like, I'm the guy who is constantly reading things either on my iPad or physical or tactile. Like, if you come into the office, you see Move Fast and Fix Things. It's a great HR book.
Yep.
Right now, I'm going through Carmen Hudson's the Corporate Recruiter Playbook.
Nice.
This is in the office. If you go into the bedroom, a bedroom table is filled up with empowerment books from the likes of like Ryan Holiday. And I'm trying to think. I'm reading in the bedroom. I'm reading "Burn the Boats." I can't remember who that's by, but I know he's that Will Giardo recommended him on one of his podcasts. So I got a hold of that. No, like I'm not a big TV guy. Like, and then every time I go to TV, it betrays me. Okay, like real quick, we've established that I'm a Star Wars nerd because I made fun of Ryan Leary and the fact that he knows nothing about Star Wars. Is that Ryan? I love you. Your birthday was the other day. Is that I got so burned with the book of Boba Fett, right? Like, you probably can't tell, but behind me, over my shoulder, Josh Bernstein, one of my fraternity brothers, gave me the patent for Boba Fett's action figure from Kenner
Oh,
for
cool.
my 40th birthday, right? And then I've got Boba Fett dolls on the desk over here, and I've got some Boba Fett over there. I'm a big Boba Fett fan. But like I'm like all jazzed up and I'm like 3 episodes in and I'm like, who the hell are Spy Kids and why are they in this episode?
Well, now I know what to send you and to follow up on. You've mentioned a lot of amazing folks in this space on this call today. What
Well, that's
makes
because
recruiting
I stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Like I
and that
didn't do
knowledge
this by
share is what makes
myself.
us great. And I
I
think so
agree with
many
you.
of us are willing to give it away for free. We live in a society where, like, if we are spiritual beings having a capitalist experience, how can we lift others up and share what we've learned and operate from a spirit of generosity? Um, let's go back and talk a little bit about DEI though, because it's something that you're passionate. It's something about that I'm passionate about too. Um, it's kind of a weird time. Like we saw the rise of it post.
We saw the rise of it for the wrong reasons. A
Mm,
man had to die for us to say DEIB is important.
and
Okay.
now,
And then Breonna Taylor, who everybody forgets about, she had to die for this to be important, right? Let's go back. All right, let's do history. Emmett Till's mother wanted the casket open so that people could see what they did to her son. All right. Why does it take people dying for us to say we're going to do something? That's one. Two, why did we, and I say we collectively because I'm speaking from the white experience, why did we say that we were going to do all these things and we didn't do them? We were going to donate all this money to all these causes, right? And we didn't do them. Okay. We got scared. And then you've got Harvard Business Review, which has been doing studies since 2008 on the financial security and independence of organizations that employ diverse workforces. Now, real quick, for those of you listening, I did not know this question was coming. All right. So I'm sitting here and I'm pulling the facts and figures together real quick. You can reference check this with HBR. You can reference check this with Breonna Taylor. You can reference check this with George Floyd. The reality of it is that companies that are more diverse have more staying power when it comes to their product and to their revenue life cycle. The only thing is that we measure success of company initiatives on a quarter by quarter basis. So when you look at a lot of the companies that are pulling back on their DEI initiatives, they are publicly traded companies which have to deliver value for shareholders, right? They are shortchanging themselves in two ways. One, they're shortchanging themselves in terms of profit, and two, they are alienating themselves from Generation Z. Okay, Generation Z is very concerned with like about 8 different topics, and 2 of which revolve around ESG and diversity, inclusion, and authenticity and transparency. So if we're not going to pay people the same thing for the same work, you're disenfranchising Generation Z wholeheartedly. If you're not going to embrace diversity and inclusion and that authenticity, you're disenfranchising Generation Z. Good luck bringing them back to the office if you're not going to do any of these things, right?
Right.
I can go through the list. It's all about disenfranchisement of, there's the profitability angle that they're being short-sighted quarter by quarter, but they're not playing the long game like privately held or equity-backed companies can play, because they're beholden to quarterly earning reports.
And the interesting piece there is it's piecemeal, it's pick and choose, because AI is not delivering quarterly returns in that accelerated velocity yet. There's also a level of accountability from individuals that are historically in power and what we're seeing from our leaders. And I'm certainly disappointed when I see like tech leaders that speak publicly against DEI, because then it gives permission to a large percentage of individuals. It gives them that permission to be on the wrong side of history. And that is like the battle that I feel like we are often advocating and fighting for. Do you have any like thoughts there, any advice for folks that feel a more moral or ethical purpose to create more diverse pipelines?
So we talked about the money, right? And the money is a motivator for some people. I get that. I understand that. But we did talk about humanity. And as my friend Torrin Ellis, one of my mentors, talks about, the ROI of diversity is humanity, and that doing the right thing. You mean to tell me that a Black woman who is just as smart on paper, she went to the same Ivy League schools as her white peer, that she should be paid 30 to 40% less because of the color of her skin, because of the background that she pushed up against? That doesn't make any sense. Like, Ayn Rand wrote a column in the 1970s in the Wall Street Journal. Okay. And I realize that Ayn Rand is like this bastion of individualism for the right movement. Right. I realize that, but like, she basically said that, like, you're not a capitalist if you're a racist. Like, those two things do not work together, right? So I think that a lot of people have, quite frankly, gotten it twisted, and there's going to be an unraveling, because it doesn't settle well, right? It's like, my daughter, she's so gifted with math, and she wants to be an engineer ballerina mom. That's what she wants to be.
That's the vision board.
That's the vision board. I want to empower her to do those things, right? I don't want someone to tell her that she can't do those things because she's a woman, okay? Just like I don't want a Black woman to be told that she can't be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company because she's a Black woman. Like, that just doesn't jive. And I realize that there are a lot of political influences and their court adherence and things of that nature. But we got to do what John Lewis said. We got to make good trouble, right?
Yeah.
Like, we got to stand up, even if it's little voices at a time. I mean, we have we have a silent war against women that is being, maybe it's not so silent, but we have a war against women that's being waged in this country. And yeah, it's really, you got to say enough is enough. Like you can't bend over for everything.
Yeah, and it comes down to how do you want to spend your time and who do you want to spend your time with? And it's always a balance of like, do I spend my time surrounded with other folks that are going to support those causes and invest in it? And I think about this like from a work perspective, or um, constantly fighting against that resistance. And I think that's something that is exists on a continuum, and people oscillate back and forth. And you mentioned Torrin Ellis. He and I caught up last week. An incredible mentor. If anybody's listening and has not had the opportunity to hear Torrin speak, please make that a priority. It will change your life. I do not say this lightly. That is not hyperbole. That is full stop. Torrin Ellis is one of the most significant leaders in this movement right now in our field. And I'm thrilled to support and see the work that he's going to be doing with aptitude research, because it is critical to align research, products, technology with that lens of inclusion.
100%, 100%. And uh, yeah, there's nothing else I can say about Torrin. Like I mean, Torrin's mic drop. Like and the thing is though, is that the work he does is not just limited to our space, and it is not just limited to our time. Torrin's work will go on, and it will plant seeds in other fields.
100%. Has a recruiter ever made you cry? Just random question.
Has a recruiter made me cry? I've had candidates that say, I love you, and I go, goodbye. But like, has a recruiter
Okay,
ever
wait. If you work in recruiting and you have not accidentally told a candidate "love you, bye" at the end of a conversation, you're not actually a recruiter.
You're not in recruiting. I'm like the first time it happened, I was like, no, that's an EOC violation. Like I was like, has a recruiter ever made me cry? I think Aaron and I have had some pretty like Aaron Matthews, good friend of mine. Like we've gone through hell and high water together. I think we've shared some tears before. Think that
For people not listening, Aaron Matthews, runs
Aaron
exec
Matthew,
search.
no S,
Aaron
no
Matthew
S. Yeah,
runs exec search over at PayPal. Her open source recruiting playbooks have existed on the internet. If you don't know Aaron Matthew, you may know her tools, and like you probably have it saved in a bookmark somewhere. That's Aaron Matthew, the Aaron Matthew from like all of those toolkits that exist for how to be a tech recruiter. An
yeah,
incredible human.
yeah. So I think I've probably cried with Aaron. I've probably definitely cried with Michael Goldberg, whether Georgia was losing or winning. We're both so interestingly enough, like Michael and I both went to Georgia. We're both in recruiting. We found out that we were members of the same fraternity. Like
Small world, man. That's why I do
I
it.
know, yeah. So I just got chills when I said that, right? Like probably cried with Steve, and I may have cried with I don't know why, but I think I may have cried with I know I've cried with Pete Radloff. Pete Radloff, great recruiter. He's at Datadog, does exec search. But I want to think that I cried with Shannon Pritchett before,
Nice.
right? Like Shannon is the recruiter du jour. I mean, not du jour. She is the recruiter sorceress supreme, and she leads marketing over at Hire Easy. Brilliant person.
You, Shannon, Steve have been hanging out. You've been doing hire therapy, recruiter therapy, which is a great resource. I think Steve made me cry. And not because he threw me in a headlock for being a hoodlum. Steve made me cry because
he did that when made me run. Like, don't make me run. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No. He and I caught up, and he's an intimidating guy. He's got that New York accent. He's got the tattoos. He's OG. He's been around. So like when I met him the first time, I was like, oh my God, this is like the real deal. This dude. And then we caught up once, and he quoted Dr. King, and he made me cry because he is so thoroughly invested in the work that we are doing. And the reason I ask is because there's a human element to this. And if we can't see the humanity in each other, how are we going to see that in the candidates that we're communicating with, for our investors, for the products we're building? Like, I'm a pretty emotional dude. Like, I get invested in this because, like, otherwise, like, I would just still be working in a kitchen chopping vegetables or driving a forklift, hauling lumber, working a saw. But for me, I get to sit in my comfortable house and talk to people for a living. And if I activate my highest potential, I can inspire that in others. And I know you do too. So I just appreciate you.
Man, I appreciate you. I'm glad that you put this together today. I'm glad that I'm going to be able to give you a hug in a week and a half at RecFest. Yeah, man.
Thank you for tuning in. We can get out of here on time. How can folks stay up to date, learn more about your work? I know you're publishing a lot. You write newsletters.
Yeah, really the best place to find me is LinkedIn. If you don't want to find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on the Peloton at the Brian Fink. You can ride with me. We can do a little ton day. It's all good.
Let's do it.
We can do that. Yeah, or you can just email me or call me. Like we're recruiters. Like be fearless and love one another. That's it.
Yeah. The best tool in the toolkit is our phone.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you on the leaderboard. I am Patchouli Adams.
Oh, okay. So that goes back to our Grateful Dead fish conversation we had earlier.
Tied it full circle for you.
Yeah, there we bring it around. Brandon, thank you so much for bringing me to this conversation, letting me share my story, and letting me talk about all the people who've brought me to this place today. Thank you.
If it weren't for them, why would we do it?
I'll tell you why we would do it. At my core, my why is to get people from better to best.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay, so like, if we're talking, I want to do something today that inspires you to stretch your abilities. That's it. Pure, plain, and simple. That's what I got, man.
Brian, thank you. See you in Nashville.
Awesome. Rock on, my friend.